What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Zack Snyder's definitive cut of Justice League. Of course, this is directed by, Zack Snyder, and before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below on any video that you watch, including this one. So after many years, after many petitions, after many hardcore groups that truly love Zack Snyder's view of the DCU, the superhero genre, we finally have Zack Snyder's definitive cut, his ultimate version of what he thinks the Justice League movie should have been. The version that we got in 2017, of course, was kind of taken away from him because he was dealing with the death of his daughter. And of course, Joss Whedon was brought in to kind of revamp the script, make it lighter. And in the process, everybody hated it. I personally did, and I thought it was fun. But people wanted Zack Snyder's definitive cut. So for many years, this movie, the Justice League Zack Snyder cut, was basically pounded into everyone's skull until Warner Brothers finally relented, gave Zack Snyder like $75 million, and here we have the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Now, I've been very vocal about my disdain for this idea. I'm not hating on Zack Snyder because I'm looking forward to Army of the Dead. I'm looking at this movie in the simple fact that I believe it was a money grab for people to get onto HBO Max's service. I think it was a way that they knew that they would get tons and tons of subscribers because people were going to be very interested to see what Zack Snyder has up his sleeve. And you can see it in the fanboys of the DCEU, the DC universe, even the Marvel universe. These people are interested in this concept, and then you have people who want to go in and see what's different, what's interesting, what's kind of unique about it. But I just don't see it that way. I never have. I look at these, director's cuts. I even looked at the Lord of the Rings Return of the King, and all those cuts is just a way for, sometimes the director doesn't feel his films are finished, but sometimes I think it's just a money grab and it's a way for you to double dip and stuff like that. And that's just my personal opinion. I want to get that out in the open before I actually start talking about my official feel of this movie, what this movie pertains and how it has kind of improved and so on and so forth on the original material. And so to go through a little bit of synopsis to this movie, just to kind of, fresh everybody's mind of it. The Justice League movie, it takes place after Batman vs. Superman, where Superman sacrificed himself, against Doomsday. And in the process, he's being mourned. He's, people have come to love who Superman is, and Batman feels entirely guilty about it. Well, the end of the movie, Superman dying has caused this kind of eclipsion, this kind of problem where the mother boxes, which are these sentient devices that were, of course, with Darkseid, have started to kind of waken up. And of course, this character named Steppenwolf, who is kind of aligned with Darkseid, has basically come to Earth to collect the mother boxes to take them and basically take over the world. Think of like Thanos and the gauntlet of crystals and stuff like that. So after the first mother box is stolen and taken by, of course, Steppenwolf, basically Batman, Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, whoever you want to consider him as, has to unite about 5 or 6 other people to go up against Steppenwolf to keep him from taking the other 2 mother boxes. And in the process, they have to find a way to bring Superman back, which is kind of played out through the end of the movie. And so it's basically the formation of the Justice League, how the Justice League acts. We got Barry Allen, we got Arthur Curry, which is Aquaman and the Flash. We got Diana Prince, who of course is Wonder Woman. We have Victor Stone, who of course is Cyborg. And in the process, they have to kind of find their way to come together. It's not like Avengers in a lot of ways, where they're always at odds. They're just individuals that have to be kind of convinced to come into the form. The one that's kind of the most outdish is, of course, the Arthur Curry Aquaman character, who finally got his own movie, so that this movie makes a lot more sense with his character arc and stuff like that. And basically that's what this movie is. It's about a group of individuals who have to take down Steppenwolf before the ultimate evil of Darkseid invades Earth and takes over and completely destroys it. And so with that said, like I said, it's a movie that very much wants to be the next evolution of superhero movies. It wants to kind of align itself and be its own version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it completely failed and collapsed upon itself for the simple fact of just things just didn't work out. They rushed everything and it was just a complete mess. So like I said, this movie finally got its green light. They spent $75 million kind of upgrading this visual effects and adding more scenes and, kind of rearranging everything, to what Zack Snyder wanted. They brought in Junkie XL to do the music instead of Danny Elfman, and they just kind of rearranged everything for the most part. So my ultimate review of this movie is This movie is extremely similar to the original Justice League that came out in 2017. It just has added scenes to it. It has added exposition. It has like fleshed out character arcs, and it has a more interesting narrative that, even though it's using the 2017 version, which a lot of the footage was Zack Snyder's footage. I don't know why people keep thinking why it was all Joss Whedon stuff, but for the most part, what Zack Snyder is doing here is he's given us a lot more Cyborg, a lot more Flash. He's given us everything that we heard about but we didn't see. And in essence, I think what really works about this movie is giving us that extra character arc, giving those extra character dynamics. I think what they did with Cyborg is, after watching this version of Justice League, is a complete abomination of what they did in the 2017 version, because here he has a human arc, he has a human character emotion, he has everything that you really want out of his character, and you can see why Ray Fisher really feels at odds with everything that's going on top of the, you know, the feeling of being an outsider and how he was treated because of his skin color and stuff like that. But I think what Zack Snyder has done here, what he has given in this 4-hour version, because it is 4 hours long, is the ability for a character like Cyborg to really have a fleshed out world, have a fleshed out character, and he has the most emotional resonance in this movie, and really feels like it's mostly his movie because of how much more stuff they gave him to do in the movie. And it's pretty impressive if you think about it. But I really enjoy what Ray Fisher does in this movie. I think he's much more fun to watch. I think his character arc is much more interesting, and I think it's a well done, well paced character that gets a real great payoff at the end, and is really nicely kind of wrapped up as the movie ends. And then of course we also get, you know, more of the Flash, Barry Allen's character. We see him in Central City. We finally see Iris West. We see, you know, what Flash is capable of doing. They've revamped his speed force, so it's much more dynamic, much more interesting, a lot more lightning. It's a much more, once again, fleshed out character, but it gives us more of a dynamic of how Barry Allen is not entirely stable in a lot of aspects. And I actually thought this movie was going to play into more of the Speed Force stuff, but you can kind of see with the use of his, how fast he is and how he works, that you can see how his character is going to play out in the Flash movie when they do the Flashpoint and stuff like that. So I really like what they did with Barry Allen in this movie, so on and so forth. It really feels like a much more interesting character, and similar to, like I said, with Cyborg, with the Victor Stone, it really feels like a much more dimensional character that you didn't get in the original 2017 Justice League. So, but outside of those two characters, Arthur Curry gets a little bit more dimension, but because he has his own movie, we kind of have a lot to be around with him. I think it's a little more competent with what James Wan was able to pull out, and we see the Willem Dafoe and the other person that will not be named, and it really feels like we've already seen Arthur Curry, so his character didn't need to be as fleshed out because we have his own movie that's already played and made lots and lots of money. And it's the same thing with Diana Prince and Ben Affleck's Batman character. They don't really feel much different than the 2017 movie. They feel much more in line with what you remember and stuff like that. There's not really any much more dynamic and much more character growth and stuff like that. It just feels like a lot of their footage was left in the 2017 movie, and everybody else got the short shift and stuff like that. And then on top of that, you get Superman that comes back. Everything's the same. They fixed the whole mustache thing, and they gave him a different colored suit. And his character arc, once again, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much done exactly what you remember from the original movie. And there's not really much else there, to be fairly honest. So, and then we get into the visual effects work and what's been added, and mostly there's a lot of tweaks. There's a lot of interesting kind of put-ins of different character moments, of different character spots, different character actions and stuff like that. So there's a little more stuff fleshed out. There's a little more quiet moments with each character, but mostly it's, like I said, it's really hard not to want to get kind of angry a little bit about this movie, because it does feel exactly the same from the 2017 movie. And so you got the first 2/3 of this movie, which is really, really similar to the actual Justice League movie of 2017, but it's when you get into the third act and you start getting the action, you start getting the third act set pieces, you start getting the kind of conclusion to this movie, and you realize that this is where Zack Snyder's strengths work, because he knows how to shoot action. He knows what he needs for digital work. He knows what he needs to get the job done. And I think the way the actors and the characters play themselves out as the movie eventually concludes is much more interesting and less sluggish and less kind of noise, I guess you could say. It's much more it's much more easy to watch. It's much more fun to watch. It doesn't feel like so much is coming at you. You really feel centered and focused, and you get more different interesting character moments and stuff like that. And even though it has the same kind of tropes, it really feels like a truly different ending with some of the same stuff thrown in. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was something truly different for a movie that I've seen before. So I was telling my friend, I'm like, as soon as this movie was starting to conclude, I'm like, we are getting to the point where I actually kind of want to see where this progresses, because it has lead into some very interesting kind of, you know, stuff that's being kind of left at the end, because there were supposed to be 2 more movies, and we're not going to get that. And that's such a shame. That's the main problem with this movie, is we got a 4-hour Snyder cut, but because he's not really going to be in this series anymore, most likely he's going to go do his own stuff like Army of the Dead, we're never going to get that conclusion to that series. So they're introducing characters that wasn't in the original movie, and it just feels empty. It really does. But it just, you lead into all this great interesting concepts, and you just don't feel, unless they go, Zack Snyder, go make what you want to finish, we want other parts because this was so successful. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is the end of this series, and it's such a shame. It really is, because it really did hit the landing in the 3rd act, which it completely missed in the 3rd act of the original version. So, but yeah, it's a shame. The other shame is the movie is 4 hours long. It's a very long movie. People have no problems with that. I don't know how you don't have a problem with the fact that there's a lot of bloat in this movie, but on a much larger problematic scale. And I know this movie is very similar to like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, where they've added a lot of material in. But if I had seen this for the first time, and this was the first Justice League product that had been out in 2017, I would have been like, there's just too much in this movie. There's too much bloat. There's too much Zack Snyder writing. There's too much just content that it feels like it overweights itself in a lot of singular places. Because you get about halfway through this movie, which is 2 hours into the movie, and you start to truly feel it. And there's going to be people, and there has been people, that truly love this movie and think it's the ultimate version of a superhero movie. But when you've seen the original movie, and a lot of the content from the original movie is in this movie, and you get 2 hours in, and really not much has changed outside of like Cyborg, you feel the Zack Snyder bloat. You really do. It's what Zack Snyder's known for when he writes a script, is his characters are not always well defined, and there's a lot of like just, you know, fat that could be trimmed. So I want to complain about that. I want to be like very angry about that, but I can't, because in the end, this is an ultimate cut that has to conclude the problematic DCU in a lot of ways. And that's not necessarily saying that it's a perfect movie in any aspect, but when you kind of have to sit down and you have to think about the movie as a whole, you realize that in order to wrap up everything, it needs to be 4 hours. So that bloat needs to happen. That character arcs that could be completely, you know, shaved off needs to happen. You know, the expansion of scenes and other scenes, it needs to happen, because you can't just make it 2 hours and expect everyone to love it. You know, that's what happened with the first Justice League. It was like an hour and 47 minutes, and it just had a lot of problems. But overall, it's a very long movie. I was very exhausted after watching it. I'm actually exhausted right now, you know, doing a review after watching it, because it takes a lot of energy to watch a movie that long. I do say the same thing with like Lawrence of Arabia. It's just, when a movie is that long, it takes a big toll on you on just a watching aspect. And, you know, with that said, you know, overall, I'm not the hugest fan of this movie overall in general, just because I just feel it's very unnecessary. But I think it's a much more marked improvement over the original Justice League, just in that simple 3rd act and what they did with Cyborg. So that's gonna be pretty much it. Like I said, I really like Junkie XL's score. I thought some of the stuff he put in there was a little cheesy, but he's always a competent enough composer that he does a nice job. So but that's gonna be it. That's gonna be my take on this 4-hour cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League movie. Like I said, if you love this movie, if you're really excited that this movie's coming, I 100% am happy for you. I just still don't know why the movie needed to be made, but that's just my ultimate opinion. So, but otherwise, I still enjoyed it. I still had fun with it, and it's much better than I was expecting. So, but anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen the movie. Is it everything you hoped for? Is it everything you hated? What is your official opinion on the movie? All that good stuff. Do you agree that you think Cyborg is really good? But let me know in the comments. But otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.